Hello, everyone. My name is Leslie Campuzano, and today my presentation is going to be about sexism in sports. This presentation is for our HHPS class issues in international sport. Sexism in sports has been a problem, an issue that many people have experienced when competing in sports. Sometimes, although sports can bring us together, unlike any other thing, it can also divide us in the fight for gender equality. Sexism and discrimination in sports continues to be an oppressive barrier for the future. Some academic underpinnings of the issue. The definition of sexism is defined as any prejudice, stereotyping, or discrimination typically against women, but can apply to all males as well. Sexism affects many individuals worldwide by preventing their opportunities to advance in sports. Sexism allegations are very common in sports, where women are often underpaid when competing in professional sports. In 2015, approximately 40% of competitive women shared their struggles of sexism on the pitch, and 43% of women shared that they don't receive as much support as men do in sports. Sexism can cause negative effects on athletes such as mental health, physical health, job satisfaction, and personal relationships. Another thing to add to this is that about 90% of sportscasters in America are men, with almost 5% of NFL sports reports being women. Sexism continues to be an oppressive barrier for both men and women seeking careers in the sports industry. The lack of diversity in sports media coverage is also a continued problem in America. Practical implications. Mental health. Those athletes experiencing sexism can have an increased score on a depression screening, leading to other long-term mental health problems. Physical health. Athletes are to have increased injuries when competing and experiencing sexism. For example, chronic pain, stress, high blood pressure, and diabetes levels can be increased. So talking more about mental and physical health. When one experiences sexism, then your mental health can be affected by overthinking a lot. Like shared in this PowerPoint slide, depression, being depressed for being depressed and feeling like you're not enough can be a mental health problem and can later on be increased and lead to other health problems. Um, physical health, maybe you can um, feeling like you're not enough can cause a lot of stress. Stress leads you to be depressed and other and these will cause you to not want to play the sport anymore, to feeling like you're not good enough. And these are some more examples of how mental and physical health are affected by sexism. Job satisfaction. Athletes feel less appreciated in their workplace. This can lead to loneliness and isolation when or after competing. When you don't feel like you're not, when you feel like you're not enough in when you're working in a certain area, then you will feel more independent, like you don't want to reach out to other people. This can lead to depression. This can lead to other problems. I know that when as a former athlete, when you're overthinking stuff, whenever something is going on, you always stick to yourself before a match, you just listen to music and just talk to yourself. And even after matches, you want to go home and just lay in bed. And this is like very important because this is your job. So when it comes to job satisfaction and sexism, athletes just feel less appreciated and they become more, they become separated from their teams and feel lonely and isolated. Relationships with family can be affected. This can be due to overthinking and not feeling enough for other individuals. Satisfaction and commitment with family can be questioned. Experiencing sexism on field or anywhere in the sports industry, one can feel separated from their family by feeling like they're not enough, just as they feel like they are like they are when they're working. Then you can later take this on to your family at home and also feel the same way. This is an example of how sexism can affect relationships. Some case examples of sexism. In March 2019, the United States women's soccer team filed a lawsuit on the United States Soccer Federation. After playing more games than the men's team and winning more, they were still getting paid less. They won this battle and are now getting equal pay. I actually remember this when the women stood up for themselves. They competed a lot of games in a lot of games, and they actually won way more than the men's national team did, and they were still getting paid less. Came to a point where they were like, "This is not fair. We're going to stand up for ourselves." And thankfully now they're receiving equal pay. Another example, in 1967, women weren't allowed to compete in marathons due to damaging women's health and femininity. Catherine Switzer entered in disguise using a male's name. She was caught and tried to be ejected, but she finished the race anyway. Later on, women were officially allowed to compete in marathons in 1972. Another example. In 2017, the U.S. women's hockey team boycotted going to the World Championship if wages weren't increased. Although it was a big risk, they reached a deal with the U.S. Hockey where they would receive stipends and bonuses for winning. They also received the same care the men's team did. In 1976, an Olympic rower named Chris Ernest was tired of not having acceptable showers for herself and teammates after training. After that, Ernest and her 18 teammates protested by writing on their back and breasts. So they were on their back and breasts and they went out and protested on campus. After that, an article was published the next day about the situation, and within 2 weeks, they received new locker rooms. Strategies to address the issue of sexism. Number one, provide equal pay for men and women in sports. By providing equal pay, others this can prevent other people feeling like they're not worth as much as other people. For example, it will allow people to feel valued more. Hire more female executives in sports. Create a zero tolerance policy on sexism in sports. Do not let sexism happen at all. If it happened, we should create a zero tolerance policy and provide consequences those um, on those implementing sexism in sports. This should not happen at all. Number four, support athletes at all times when speaking out. So supporting athletes when they're defending themselves, this is very important because they should know that one is supporting them. Number five, promote positivity in all sports. Number six, avoid being sexist when communicating during sports. For example, use the same attitude/language in broadcasting men's and women's sports. Discussion questions. What do you believe is the best way to prevent sexism in sports? Have you ever experienced or witnessed sexism in sports? Number 3. What sport do you believe is most affected by sexism? Has there been situations where you saw sexism happen more in a specific sport? Okay, here are my references. And this concludes my presentation of sexism in sports. And I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for taking the time to view it. Thank you so much.